Why do some people retire with financial freedom, but others struggle and scrape just to get by? I know some people that have 300,000, 500,000 in income, some of them seven-figure income, but they don't have any wealth. They're one election, one rule change, one technology disruption like AI and robots, and their income stops and they got nothing. But yet, I know other people that have made median income or less for most of their life, but they've acquired lots of cash flowing assets. So if there was a disruption, or they did get laid off, or they do retire, they've got several sources of money that'll keep them going and keep them get by. So I want to help everyone create their own financial freedom by creating multiple streams of income with tax advantages and all while growing your equity for future generations. Hey everyone, my name is Brad Reed. And I would like to encourage you to be good. And by good, I mean get out of debt, achieve your financial dreams, and give generously to your community. Today, I want to share my journey, my scrapes, bumps, bruises, surgeries, my losses, my struggles. And then I want to start a journey with you over the next several weeks and months so that you have a much smoother, faster route to building a financial fountain of freedom for yourself than I did. We're going to start with why interest rate matters, and there will be lots of lessons that I have learned the hard way that are sometimes the complete opposite of the Wall Street agenda and what I have been told by financial advisors across the decades. Sometimes we align, sometimes we don't. But also going to talk about cash returns and equity growth, what that means, and how you can use it. And then next time, well, you can see the agenda down there, reveal your financial destiny with one simple question. I think it'll shock most of you. Going to talk about what the heck inflation is and how we can prepare for it. And then next time, folks, I'm going to give you a retirement calculator that adjusts for inflation. So you put in your numbers and it'll tell you how much income you will have in a certain year, adjusted for inflation. It's the only one that I've seen over what, 15 years of this that adjust for inflation. I've seen a lot of retirement calculators and they are very, very misleading because it's a really big number until you look at it with inflation. Okay, but that's next week. Let's get on to this week. This is not financial advice. This is for education and entertainment only. Should you um, want personalized financial advice, please seek a competent individual in your area. There is no offer to buy or sell any security in this presentation. There's no investment opportunities. There's no tax discussion. There's no accounting or legal advice. Okay, education, entertainment only. Go find a competent person, preferably someone licensed, should you want advice for you. All right. I threw this in at the last minute, and that's usually not a good thing, but we'll go with it. How do we learn? Realize that you will learn 10% by listening and reading something. You will learn 30% by discussing with mentors and peers. So my partner in the fund, Bijan, is on this. Bro, we got to create some kind of community, whether it's Slack, a Facebook group, WhatsApp. We'll figure out something so that you guys can register and you can discuss with each other. And then 60% by practicing and doing, right? Another way to say that is you listen and read and you get information. By discussing, you can turn that information into knowledge, but until you apply it, you won't get the skill. Ever learned how to ride a bike? Ever learned how to swim? You didn't do that by reading a book, right? You had to take the training wheels off and you probably got some bumps and bruises. When you learned how to swim, you probably swallowed some water. I am here so that I can help you not get as many bumps and bruises and not swallow as much water with your investing like I did. All right, so I have spent 15 years doing this. Okay, many, many years, hundreds of thousands of dollars of lost, deep emotional pain. I have suffered stress. I've suffered fear. And I'm going to show you my journey so that you don't have to go through all of that like I did. When I was 30 years old, I was $220,000 in debt. By the time I got married at age 34, I was debt free, paid for the wedding and honeymoon in cash, started investing in the 401k, got married, like I said, living the good life. I was racing this fancy sports car here. That's my beautiful wife. I was skydiving with amazing gear. That's me over here in the Star-Crested Ring, if there's any skydivers here. I also played in bands. That's a lot of money in equipment. Uh, Not wearing much equipment. Well, actually, those Oakley sunglasses were pretty expensive, but I spent like I was never going to retire, and all that had to change. So this is what made that change. I got promoted to stay-at-home dad when God blessed us with our first child. And I got out my spreadsheets and I said, hey, what does our retirement future look like when I apply inflation? Because all the financial advisors are saying, hey, Brad, you're going to retire a millionaire. And that sounded really good. But holy smokes, when I apply inflation, I don't know if a million is enough. In 2025, the median income was $100,000. And folks, if you want to take that $100,000 and if you want to consider the long-term average historical inflation at 4%, not the 5% that it was not too recently, but 4%. If you take $100,000 and you increase that by 4% each year for 30 years, that's going to add up to $5.2 million. So the median retirement savings right now is $185,000. How are you going to live for 30 years on $185,000? There's a problem. Okay. So we have a problem. And that's what I learned back then, that there was a problem. I started asking, how do people retire successfully? How do people live with financial freedom in their golden years while other people, well, their golden years are more like stone or ash or, why do they struggle to get by? And it doesn't have to do with income before retirement. So what are the gurus that I was learning how to get out of debt from and investing in the 401k? They say, hey, mutual funds are your key. You got to pick the right mutual funds. You got to do this kind of mutual fund, that kind of mutual fund. So guess what? I got my FINRA licenses and I got my 6, 63, and 65 to help people with mutual funds. That's young Brad. The embarrassing thing that I noticed just a little bit ago, I still have the same haircut. So I'm going to get rid of that picture. I spent 6 months looking for one mutual fund that I would recommend to someone that even I don't like. I could not find one because most mutual funds, almost all of them, underperform the market. Why am I going to pay someone to manage an account for me, to manage a mutual fund for me, if they can't even outproduce the market? Those that do outproduce the market, they rarely do it year after year. So mutual fund wasn't the answer. But hey, what are mutual funds, right? They're basically a, where one manager is trading stocks for everyone else that's in the fund. So I'm just going to go learn how to trade stocks. I joined a company and I learned from that guru. I learned a lot of stuff, made a little bit of money, joined another company, and they just kept trying to sell me the same videos over and over and over again, but wanted me to keep paying money. It was a horrible company, a big waste of money. So then I founded my own company with a guru and I traded live on a microphone. I got on when the stock market opened or 30 minutes before. Some of y'all may have traded with me, but I traded my own stocks. I traded my own money live. People would ask me about their stocks, about their strategies, and I took all of these questions while the market is live. And I killed it. In the September 2015, 31%. Just in September, I'd almost doubled my account twice in 2015. We're not going to talk about November of 2015 or the years and months after that, but spoiler alert, it was a lot of work. I was at my computer all day long and I learned how to grow my wealth, but not how to make wealth. So the stock market shifts. There's ups and downs. Certain strategies work at different times. I do know people that have made life-changing generation wealth by trading stocks. Not very many. I taught many, I helped hundreds, but only a select handful out of hundreds made life-changing wealth. So I thought there's got to be a different way. Well, 80% of first-generation millionaires made their wealth with real estate. So cool. I'm going to go do it with real estate. How do you make a lot of money with real estate really fast if you don't have a lot of money? You flip houses. There's my first flip house. I bought this one in 2019, just before COVID, and we had a COVID shutdown right in the middle of this flip. My contractor ended up taking money and materials that were supposed to go to my house, used it for other houses. My timeline went forever. I had a hard money loan, paid penalties. I was paying double interest rates. Turns out I was right on the after resale value, not my realtor. I lost hundreds of $1,000s on this. I tore my Achilles, so I couldn't travel for several weeks and months. And yeah, I just got reamed by my contractor. I ended up buying this blue house across the street from that house to flip that one as well. I was able to what's called wholesale this one. So I fixed it up just a little bit and sold it for a very small profit. But this was a very painful experience. Got into arguments with my contractor. He threatened me, threatened my kids. Lawyers got involved. I called the police on him. It was just, yeah, deep emotional pain, stress, and fear. So I quit that mastermind. Actually, that mastermind that taught me how to do all that, they actually folded. They disappeared and they took my lifetime membership fees and filed Chapter 11, Chapter 7. I don't know which. Never heard from them again. Joined another mastermind that also pretty much just grouped me with a bunch of people that knew about as much as I did. I bought this house from one of their gurus. Made a little bit of money on this one, but ripped the floorboards up, knew it was had termites, but didn't know it was sitting on the dirt. I show this picture just to let y'all know that I fixed this house the right way. I spent $5,000. It was pretty cool. Actually jacked up the house, poured footers, put down a vapor barrier, fixed this subfloor here, fixed this house the right way. Okay. I didn't make as much money, but I did make some. Got another house. That's the before, that's the after on the kitchen. Loved making improvements like this. But this one also, the market rolled over while I was flipping it. And I ended up losing a little bit of money on this one. So I realized that I'm very active. It's a lot of work. It's deep emotional pain, stress, fear, because there's so many things that is out of my control. When I'm doing residential real estate, I'm at the mercy of my neighbors. What are they selling their house for? That's what mine's going to be. I can't control that. I found out I couldn't control my contractors very well, and that was my fault. That's another skill I needed to develop, but I wanted something that was more in my control. That's when I found out commercial real estate, and I joined a mastermind where it worked. Let's see if this works. I hope that it does.
Ben and Stacy helped me get 225 doors. When I joined the academy, I was a residential realtor who had done 4 single-family flips and never really made big money on any of them. Since then, I now own 6 apartments, which comes to 225 doors. I have a collection of short-term rentals, which is 33 keys. And then I started using the underwriting strategies and the growth into other asset classes. And so I have 8 oil wells in North Dakota and also a paving business in the southwest of the United States. So Jen and Stacy not only helped me with the strategies, the underwriting, and how to evaluate a business in general, but also the mindset. I was terrified of that first one, but the mindset work has helped me understand the difference between fear and not knowing something important, and has given me the internal mindset on when to step forward, when to go forward, give me the faith that has built a life-changing, eventually legacy-changing financial status for my family.
Why make that shift when you were already doing single family and then you just decided to do multifamily? What was the mindset there?
I was a realtor and I realized that I'm helping a lot of people buy and sell real estate and I don't get any of it. What really got me on the hook was the math that goes into the value of the property. There's just so many opportunities that are within my control in the multifamily world that give me the control that I want for my investment and for my investors, who are my friends, my partners, and yeah, we're gonna go make money together. So my calling is to help people get from where I was, drowning in debt, not knowing how to properly think about money, not the proper mindset about money, because it's not knowledge, it's just skills and mindset. We're changing lives, Jen, and I'm going to be able to change lives because of what you have done, and everyone that's watching this video, what you are thinking about doing or what you have done. Thank you.
Hey, Brad, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Thank you, Bijan. Um, so yeah, the Remote Multifamily Investment Academy is where I study now. If you want to join that, if you want to do all of this work, be happy to get you connected. But I had a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge before I got there, and that's what I want to do in this series is help you get that information. So I do have 6 apartments. That's 225 doors. I have a collection of short-term rentals, 33 keys. I have a share of 8 oil wells. I have a share of a private paving business. That's 9 different investments that are all streams of income and that'll all have equity at the end of it, except the oil wells. They may or may not have equity. Oil is more of a cash on cash play. But here's what I'm building, right? In that video, I said I want to share I want to share it with you, and this is what I'm building. I had a series out there for those of y'all that have been with me for a decade, probably remember Financial Fundamentals. I'm going to rebuild this, but I want to help people be good. I want to help people get out of debt because I was over 220 grand in debt when I was 30 years old, and I know what that feels like. And I know you feel like you're working hard, you're getting the right direction, but you're not. You're just going more and more in the wrong direction. Mind, body, and spirit. This stuff over here on the right side, it's scary. You got to learn how to move forward in fear. You got to learn how to take care of your body. You got to learn how to take care of your brain, how you think. And one of the key things is that I learned you are the average of your 5 closest people. So think about your 5 closest people right now. Where are they going to be in 5 or 10 years? Is that where you want to be? Maybe you have to change who are your 5 closest people. This series is going to be the invest for success part, right? Learn how to invest for yourself, build a business on the side. Maybe you want to be active. Maybe you want to be passive and just invest in other people's businesses. Grow many streams of income and achieve your financial dreams. And then once you have a lot of these things going and it covers your basic expenses and exceeds your basic expenses with inflation, then you're in the fourth stage, right? You've climbed up this mountain. It's raining money. You got more money than you know what to do with. You do what you want when you want. You've bought all the crap that you want to buy, the houses, the cars, the trips, the whatever. Going to help you become an owner, not just an operator, right? That's the problem with my friends that have high income. They they say they own their own business, but they don't. They own their own job. And if something happens, they're destitute. They are broke. Make money while you sleep and learn how to give generously to your community. How to not mess it up. Once you build it, once you get up to the top of the mountain, how to stay up there and not fall down. This is what I'm building, folks. I hope you're going to come with me. I hope you'll come back next week and the week after that. I hope you will follow me on social media. Let's do this together. Let's make this party up here at the top of the mountain one heck of a party. So the first step of that I want to talk about is what interest rate really means. So there's a trick my dad taught me. Dad, if you're watching here, thank you so much for teaching me this rule of 72. Probably 20 years ago is when we started talking about it. I didn't get it. It took me a long time. Guess what? Because you can't just listen to someone and get a skill. You have to talk about it. You have to ask questions. You have to practice it to turn it into skill. But Dad, thanks for getting me started. Rule of 72 states, if you take 72, divide it by the interest rate, that's the number of years it takes for your investment to double. So quick example, 7% divided by 72 is going to equal 10. That means it takes about 10 years for your money to double at 7% interest rate. Your typical 401ks, your typical IRAs, your typical investments with a financial advisor are going to grow at about 7% over the long term. Right now, the stock market's going crazy. So maybe this year, last year, whatever, you've gotten more than 7%. But for a 30-year period with IRAs, 401ks, financial advisors, it's about 7%. So if by some chance you're age 25 and you have $100,000, Over 10 years, that'll double to $200,000. Over 10 years, 200,000 will double to 400,000. At age 55, 400 doubles to 800. And age 65, you've got $1.6 million just off of investing $100,000 once into something that paid you 7%. I did not have $100,000 when I was age 25. In fact, when I was age 30, I was 220 grand in debt. But if you have young kids, that's one thing you can encourage them to do. Now, the next one I want to talk about is 10%. This is the long-term stock market average. If you buy the long-term S&P 500, which is ticker SPY, going to talk about that in session 5, I think it'll be. The long-term average of the stock market is about 10%. So let's say at age 25, you started off with $100,000 and you just put it in ticker SPY, and there was no ups and downs or seasonality of the stock market. That's a big if. We all know it's not true. The stock market has many years that exceed 10%, and it's got a few years that are less than 10%. Some of those years are negative, but let's just say you got 10% every year, somehow magically. Every 7 years, it doubles. So 100 goes to 200 by age 32. 200 goes to 400 at age 39, 400 to 800 at age 46, 1.6 million at age 53, and look at this, 3.2 million at age 60. But on this one up here, you got 1.6 million at age 65. You more than doubled it at the same age, or you could double it at 5 years sooner. So for me, that 7% to 10%, that's a big difference. I don't want 7%. And I certainly don't want to pay someone else to underperform the market. What am I paying you for if I can just go to the market and get 10%? But when I was doing my math, when baby number one arrived and I didn't have this kind of money sitting in a 401k, I knew I needed something bigger. So here's a fun number. At 15%, your money doubles every 5 years. So if I had $100,000 when I was age 25, I could double that to age 30, 400 at age 35, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to speed this up. By age 60, I have $12.8 million. Now, a lot of people are going to tell you, you should never try and outperform the market. A lot of people are going to tell you, hey, 15%, that's risky. But ask yourself, who's telling me that and how do they get paid? Because when I was looking at this, the people that were telling me not to do this, they were the ones that were saying, hey, pay me money to underperform the market. Well, guess what? My portfolio that I just talked about, it's projected to run at 20% annualized rate of return, even more than 15%. Now, I'm active on a lot of those, but I'm passive on a lot of those too. So 20%, I'm active on some, passive on a lot. Heck yeah. That's what I'm excited about. That's what I want to talk to y'all about. That's what I want to teach y'all how to do. How to get the green line, not the blue line and the red line. Have you heard that interest rate doesn't matter, that time matters? Just get in soon and get into the market now. That's because they're helping you on the red line. I want to help you get on the green line. That's where interest rate matters. All right, let's go on to the next one. Sunflower seeds, you can eat them or you can plant them. This is where we're going to talk about compound interest and what that means in real life. Also going to talk about cash flow versus equity growth. So if you have a sunflower seed and you plant it, in about 60 days, you're going to get a beautiful sunflower, and that sunflower will make about 60 sunflower seeds. If you plant 60 seeds, in about 60 days, you're going to get 3,600 sunflower seeds. Hooray! That sounds like a whole lot of sunflower seeds. That might seem like a mind-boggling amount of sunflower seeds. But if you eat 100 seeds a day, all your seeds are gone in 36 days. This is why you don't want to spend all of your retirement in that first 1 or 2 years, because then you got no more. And if you have retired, it's really hard to go back to retirement, and it's hard to eat seeds that you've already eaten. What did I say? Hard to eat them? Hard to plant seeds that you've already eaten. But let's say instead of eating those seeds, you wait one more cycle and you plant 3,600 seeds. In about 60 days, your flowers will produce 216,000 sunflower seeds. Now, if you eat 100 seeds per day, you can eat for 60 days until the next harvest comes around. So what happens if you eat 6,000 seeds and plant the rest? You're going to plant 210,000 seeds. In 60 days, you're going to get 12,600,000 seeds. So the point here is that you see that if you can keep reinvesting your money, at a certain point, your money is going to grow faster than you can spend it. You're going to get more sunflower seeds than you can eat. You're going to have more streams of income than you can responsibly spend. Now, responsibly is the key word there, right? Because as people got richer, businesses are making more and more toys and they're charging more and more money from it. We've all heard of the multi-gazillionaires that lost it all. So remember, you got to eat your seeds responsibly. You've got to spend your money responsibly. But the idea here is to build a sunflower farm that gives you more money to spend than you can reasonably. Or again, you can, instead of sunflower seeds, build a financial fountain that gives you financial freedom. All right, I'm going to get into some technical terms. This is one of those times where taking the information, it'll take you some use and some discussion of these terms to turn it into skill. It will take repetition. So put your seatbelt on, get ready. These might be new, they might not. You can eat the seeds, you can plant the seeds. If you eat the seeds, if you invest in something and you get money during the investment, maybe every quarter, maybe every year, we call that cash flow or cash on cash. The harvest that you get at the end of the investment period that you can plant into your next sunflower farm or you can put into your next investment, we call that equity. So you're going to get, for the investments that I like, you're going to get some cash flow throughout the lifetime of the investment, and you're going to get a lump sum at the end. Hooray! If you add those two together, you're going to get something people call a multiplier on invested capital, or the percentage rate is called ARR, annualized rate of return. So if you reinvest everything, right? It's before retirement. You buy one of these sunflower farms, you grow your own, you're getting sunflower seeds all the time, you replant everything. You get cash flow, you get cash on cash distributions while you're owning the apartment, while you're owning the oil wells, and you reinvest it. You don't spend anything. The interest rate that your money is going to compound at is the ARR, the annualized rate of return. Whether you get the green line, the blue line, the red line is going to be the ARR. Now, if it's after retirement, the goal is that you spend the cash on cash responsibly for your retirement needs, your wants and your dreams. But I like investing where after I spend all of the cash flow, the equity I get at the end is more than when I started. Let me rephrase that. I'm not going to rephrase that. I'm just going to say it again. I like investments that when I start with money, I can spend the cash on cash that I get during it. And then when it's over, I still get more than I started with, even after I spend everything. Let's go look at another theory, and then I'm going to show you a real life example. All right, so let's say I invest $100,000 into a 5-year project. And I know for some of y'all, you think $100,000 is a life-changing amount of money. I guarantee you it is. And I'm going to show you how to make it life-changing and not life-wrecking. So at this point, if you don't know how to make $100,000, if you don't know how to get it, stick with me, learn how to do this. And if you learn what you can do with it, you might get real creative on how you can acquire $100,000 or save for it or invest for it. And that's kind of what videos 4, 5, 6, and 7 are going to be about. So stick with me. I got a plan. All right, less rambling, more example. You invest $100,000 and the deal projections, not guarantees, projections say we're going to have 10% COC. COC stands for cash on cash. And it's going to have a 2.0 5-year multiplier on invested cash. Maybe it'll say 14.87% annualized rate of return. I'm sure on that Law of 72 slide, the mathematicians in you were like, bro, 72 divided by 7 is not 10, right? And 72 divided by 10 is not 7, it's 7.2. It's a little bit off, Brad. You're killing me. But 14.87% annualized rate of return is what it takes to double your money every 5 years. So what does this mean? 10% of $100,000 is $10,000. So if I do this investment, I should expect $10,000 per year every year for 5 years off of the $100,000. So if I have 10 of these, I'm getting $100,000 a year. I can live off of that. That's pretty good. But in this one, I invested just once, $100,000. I get $10,000 a year for 5 years. At the end of the deal, I should expect to receive $50,000 in equity plus my $100,000 back. So I put in $100,000 once, I get $10,000 a year. I get $10,000 a year for 5 years. Plus in the fifth year, I get $150,000. That means $200,000 total over the 5 years. So if this is before retirement, I am reinvesting $200,000 into my next deal. If it's after retirement, I'm living off of this $10,000 and I am reinvesting the $150,000. Okay, hit pause on the video if you want to watch this. If you're here with me live, there will be a replay. Okay, now I'm going to show you a real life deal that I have put money into myself, a real life deal. And I'm showing you this deal because it's the highest deal that I've ever invested in, and we are raising money on it now. I am not advising you to invest in this. This is for education and entertainment only. Now, it is a real opportunity. Should you want to invest in it, you must invest through a private placement memorandum. This is an example, right? I don't want everything to be theoretical. In all of these videos, I'm going to show you real life examples. And here it is. Bijan, how small is that on your screen? Can you read the numbers?
No, I cannot.
That's not good. Okay, let me get this bigger. Okay, so here is the destinations deal that we have. Now I think you can see those numbers. Bijan, am I correct? You can see those numbers?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, buddy. Okay, so question number one is going to be, if you were going to invest in this, or if we were going to invest in this, how fast would your money grow before retirement? I'm going to give you a little bit of time to look at all of these numbers. This is a real life deal. This is what they look like sometimes. Sometimes there's less numbers, sometimes there's more. But how fast would your money grow before retirement? So on the previous slide, we were talking about something called average annualized return, ARR. And on this one, it's right down here at the bottom of the screen, 37.8% annualized rate of return. That's a big number. If you ever see a number that big, you want to ask questions. On every deal, you want to ask questions. How do you get that? And of course, Bijan and I have gone through lots of underwriting, lots of spreadsheets. This deal has been underwritten 4 different times over the last 18 months. And the projections, not saying they're going to happen, not saying it's a promise, but the math has been validated as to why we have those projections. They are projections. This is a 5-year investment. We don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. We don't know what's going to happen next month. But if everything goes as planned, 37.8% average annualized return. Another way to say that is if you invested $100,000, the total projected return at the end is $289,209 when you walk away. Okay? Real numbers, real investments, live right now. Second question. If you did invest $100,000 and you spent every single piece of the cash on cash, what would you walk away with at the end? What would be the equity? What would be your final payout? Again, I'm going to let you look at that. Hit pause because spoiler alert, here comes the answer. At the end of the deal, this top line is your projected cash flow, $98,000. So you get the return of the investment back, which is $100,000, and the estimated equity, again, these are projections, will be 90,000. So you get $190,000 back. So you put in 100,000, you spend all of the annual cash flow or quarterly cash flow, you still get $190,000 back at the end of the deal if everything goes as expected. Big ifs there. So, final question. If you invested $100,000 and spent the cash on cash, how much would, oh, I just, spoiler, that's what you would get. If you invested 100K and spent the cash on cash returns, how much would you be able to invest in the next opportunity? That's the 190. How much would you have to spend each year? What is your cash on cash return? Hit pause if you don't want me to give you the answer. Here it comes. Total projected cash flow over the lifetime of the 5-year hold would be about $98,647. That's about $20,000 per year. In this case, we broke it out specifically. In the first year, if you were an LP, a limited partner, that means you're passive. That means you're not doing anything. You're off living your best life. You're collecting checks. Brad and Bijan are working on it. If you put in $100,000, the first year you get $6,000 to live off of. The second year you get $10,000 to live off of. The third year you get $23,000 to live off of. The fourth year you get $28,000. Fifth year, $30,000. These are not promises. These are projections, folks. Have I said that enough? But this is what your expected cash on cash return. So if you are in retirement or near retirement, these numbers is what you are looking for to provide for your lifestyle. If it's before retirement, you're looking at this 2.89x multiplier or this 37.8% on how fast you're going to grow your retirement funds. All right, let me switch back to here. And I just asked these 3 questions while we were looking at our actual one-pager. Okay, folks, if you are accredited and you want to invest in this one, you want to learn more, set up a meeting with Bijan or myself, indhrs.com/contact. If you are not accredited, if you are just curious, you message us in social media. I'm going to show you our social media here in just a little bit, but please do not set up this meeting. Okay. We've got about 10 spots left to fill. We've got over 1,000 investors that we're talking to. Please, please, please save that time on our calendars for real investors that are serious about this opportunity. Again, this is not an invitation to invest. That'll come in a separate document called a private placement memorandum, followed up by a deal disclosure. And these are all just projections. All right. Hopefully I'll cover that enough. Groovy. So today we talked about interest rate matters. If you want to grow your financial fountain of freedom with us, that would be fantastic. This series is my intention is to show you how to do that. Today we talked about interest rate matters. We talked about cash on cash as money you can spend, and equity is how much money you can spend on the next deal. You put those two together and you get your annualized rate of return or your multiple on invested capital. Next time, we're going to talk about your money mindset, and I'm going to reveal to you if your money mindset, ChatGPT and some of my coaches have said, Brad, don't use these words, but I'm going to use them. I'm going to reveal if your money mindset is more towards a low income lifestyle during your retirement, or a medium income lifestyle, or a high income lifestyle. but I'm going to use those words because that's what it means to me. Um, and I scared the bejesus out of myself when I figured out where my money mindset was. Going to talk about inflation and why I think it is the scariest thing in our society. To me, inflation is the number one reason why so many people suffer in retirement because they don't understand inflation. Spoiler alert, um, your cost of living is expected to triple over a 30-year period. So if you think $100,000 is a lot of money uh, for your lifestyle now, and you want to keep that, you're going to need $300,000 or more in 30 years. And then I'm going to give you my calculator, folks. I'm going to give it to you. It will adjust inflation. You can use it to figure out what annualized rate of return you need to hit your retirement goals. Then after that, I'm going to talk to you about asset allocation, and I'm going to combine two gurus and their teachings and how you can invest and have multiple financial fountains of freedom. Then after that, we're going to talk about how to buy a house the right way, because if you are uh, house rich and cash poor, it makes life really difficult to build wealth. A house is a beautiful opportunity to live a great life and to accumulate equity. But if you do it the wrong way, it makes everything else real difficult. So my buddy Leanna Buck, she's going to help us out on that one. Then I'm going to spend about 3 lessons on how to trade the market. They're going to be very high level. I'm going to go into collars, credit spreads, naked puts, cash secured puts. There are very advanced strategies. I'm going to show you what they are, but not going to teach that. Maybe I'll create something else on how to teach it. Then we're going to talk about how to evaluate an apartment, do some market analysis. What the heck is net operating income? How do you verify it? How do you underwrite? How do you validate all the assumptions? How do you build what I have built with the apartments, the oil and gas, the short-term rentals, the private paving business? I'm going to go through all of it. So please tell your friends. Thanks for coming. Um, Follow us on social media. Ask us questions over there. Again, I apologize for those that came live and the chat pane's not working. I will get that fixed. But yeah, follow us on social media and would love to connect with you. Ask your questions over there. And thanks for coming, folks. God bless you for being here. And no matter what you do, always invest on logic, not on hope. God bless you.